I can be really stressed and somebody can come in and say something really nice, and I think that's why I do it.
Welcome to Talking Shop, the Communities Inc. podcast. Episode 5, How do you build a community?
My name's Shamsha. I am joined by Tony Jarvis today from Tiger Community Enterprise CIC. How are you doing, Tony?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Hello.
Great. So could you just tell us a bit about who you are and tell us a bit about your organisation?
So, Tiger started with Nottingham Street. That was very much around street food, artisans, producers, whether that be food or crafts, and showcasing local projects and giving opportunities to people to volunteer and get work experience. Then just kept morphing over the years into various projects. So I'm never one to do things by halves. So we started the street markets, and at the time street food was very big in Birmingham and London. So it's like, well, that needs to be a focus for Nottingham. Yes, I wanted, to support food and drink producers, but at the time I thought, food markets are getting a little bit tired. But if people like locally produced food, they're going to like artisans and things. So let's broaden it, include crafters and designer makers. And then, if we're including all of those, we should be, giving a showcase for local community projects as well. Why can't they get a look in? So that was the concept of Nottingham Street when we started. And then I'm like, well, we need some help. So we looked at volunteers, and I'm like, okay, well, if we're encouraging volunteers, we should also be giving work experience to young people, So we started working with NCN as they were then, and got some college students helping with our different events. So Tiger's always been really all-inclusive because I never want to miss anybody out.
Yeah, it sounds like, you had lots of very high aspirations,
Yeah.
lots of things you wanted to achieve. So what would you say is the general aim of Tigers? What is it that you're trying to achieve?
We say, basically, Tiger is about helping people to help themselves. That's a very broad statement because we do actually quite a broad range of projects, but that's at the heart of everything, and building skills and confidence. And again, at the heart of everything. And I think if you build people's self-worth and confidence in what they can do, then the sky's the limit. They then just need to apply themselves. But equally, it's about fun. Everything we do, there has to be an element of fun, because I'm a big believer in learning for life. You're always learning. Every day's a school day. But when my kids were little, they learnt best if it was a game. So making things fun, why wouldn't you? It's just as easy to make something fun as for it to be boring and, nobody wants to join in. So there's always quite an element of fun at Tiger.
So can you tell us more about the Community Hub then? How did that come about, and what sorts of activities do you run?
Other people look at what we did when we opened the Community Hub as, this is really weird because you've got all these different things going on. In my head, it was a consolidation of all the things we'd been doing as Tiger, but putting them in one space. So a lot of the feedback we got through COVID was, this has saved my sanity. I don't know how my mental health would be if I hadn't had something to do in the community. And it just became really obvious as well that people still felt so isolated and anxious about going out. So we decided to open up this welcoming space. I did say when we were, talking about the concept, I want you to feel like you're coming home. You can come in on your own, bit nervous about being out and about, and you will get a friendly welcome. So that was the premise of it, and generally to support mental health and well-being. So to commercialise it, we had to have a cafe, we had to have a shop, but our focus would be around the projects and activities to support mental health, but working with as many different groups as possible so that it was quite a broad offering. So that's what we went in with. Maybe was a bit optimistic, shall we say, about the level of sales in the shop and the cafe. But we are still here, nearly 18 months later, so,
I'll ask you about the cafe in a moment, but I just want to go back to the volunteers. So you had a massive increase in people wanting to volunteer, people wanting to do something. And after that first project around the scrubs, when that was over, people were still wanting to do something. Just so, two questions. Why do you think people were so interested in doing that? And secondly, what is it that they were getting out of it?
So I think, personally, the thing I loved and I thought was best out of COVID, which seems really weird, is the way community came together to support each other. And what I didn't want to end at the end of COVID was that, because you talk to most people, if you strike up a conversation with a stranger, most of us are pretty much the same. There are a few idiots out there, but mainly people like people and want to support people and want to feel part of a group. And why wouldn't they? And that's just one thing. Food. We have loads of community gardens and allotments and surplus food in the community. Let's come together as a community and share. It doesn't always have to be about money. Money means nothing if you don't have people you love around you who are healthy, and healthy physically but mentally as well.
Yeah. I mean, you were saying you wanted the community hub to be somewhere like home, you wanted people to feel like they were coming home. What did you do to sort of create that sort of environment? How did you make that happen?
I don't know how we've done it, really, other than everybody, our volunteers and people in there, we always say, well, we'll talk to anybody. You can't stop us talking. Everybody is welcomed with a smile. Are you okay? Can I help you? And if they need help with something, we will try and help. I think ultimately it's because Tiger was born out of love. It's about caring for people. It's about kindness. It's about random acts of kindness sometimes,
So it's more about values and what's important.
Yeah.
I mean, I think sometimes people underestimate how easy it is to make a connection.
Yeah.
It's very, very easy to connect with people in the work that we do. When we talk about, people being targeted by hate or prejudice in some way, if you see somebody being targeted, one of the things that's going to motivate you to help is actually feeling empathy.
Yeah.
And it's easy to feel empathy if you can make a connection to that person. Even down to, and there's whole loads of research that even just supporting the same football team is going to make you more likely to help somebody else. So,
I do think that if you just scratch a little bit below the surface, you can find something in common with everybody.
Let me come back to the cafe, because you were talking about it being a commercial venture, something that could support your existing activities and activities into the future. How's that going and how is that working?
It could be better. Like I say, I was quite optimistic about what we would do. And much as I hate to admit it, Listergate is not the thoroughfare that it used to be. Everyone knows that. It's not as dead as people think, but people do walk up there very much with blinkers because they're going somewhere. They usually come from the station and they've got, they're going to work or they're going shopping, but in their head, shopping doesn't start until you hit the market square. We do try and entice them in because we've got a tiger outside, and if you miss the tiger, you're really not looking. But ultimately, we are not getting enough people through the door into the shop and cafe to operate well. So we always need more people. We do good food. We do homemade hot food every day. We get great cakes. We decided from day one to keep it really basic with the coffee, because there's loads of coffee shops who do all fancy coffees, etc. And we can't compete with McDonald's, although it's just closed, if it was up the road. So we thought we can't compete with that. So we're going to do a really good filter coffee, and you get your choice of milk. So you can have oat, or you can have soya, or you can have cow's milk. And there's your choices on the coffee. But that doesn't seem to stop coffee sales, full stop. You see some people, it's almost a relief when you say, we just do coffee with milk, or the only variation is decaf. A lot of people just want a coffee. But where we do is we do a really wide range of teas. Because when we first opened, some of our biggest supporters, and they still are Extinction Rebellion. So they used to come in a lot, and they'd always ask me for a tea that we didn't have. So I sort of made it my mission to collect as wide a range of teas as possible. So if you're a tea drinker, we have a good selection, and we have some really cute teapots.
So if anyone's listening out there and thinking, how can they help? What can they do? What would you say? How can people get involved? How can they support Tiger?
Lots of ways. So get your pens and paper out. Number one, come and visit us. Buy something from the cafe. Buy something from the shop. Ultimately we do want to be financially sustainable, and that way it's a win-win, because you're getting something for your money, obviously. The shop has a great range of, quite an eclectic range of items that are either handmade by our volunteers in-house, or what I like lovingly to call our makers in the wild. So people who make at home and drop off, including our reusable sanitary ware range. So you buy from that, you're supporting somebody in period poverty. Come to our activities. We are going to be doing more Warm Tiger Days that involve free food and drinks during the day and activities. So what we do is we encourage people to come for the day, so that you can save a day's worth of energy at home, which can be quite a lot of money. Come to Tiger, and we might get the Buckaroo out for you to play with, because we like to have fun. So, users basically.
Yeah.
So that's the core. But in addition to that, donations. So money's always good. And if you're a business out there, sponsorship. So would you like to sponsor one of our wellbeing days? You can also involve your staff coming and volunteering, or just come in themselves for their own mental health and wellbeing. As individuals, we always take donations, but you know what? If you want something back for your money, we have a prize every time, tombola. People love a tombola. Great prizes. That's the cash element. There's also donating things or recycling with us. So we're a recycling hub. We collect lots of weird and wonderful things that we then send off to TerraCycle, and that gives us what we call a trickle income towards things. So everything from Pringles tubs to marigolds. Get in touch or have a look on our website to find the link. Volunteer. We are always looking for volunteers. Now, it may be that you're a sewer and want to get involved in our super project or some of our other making. We still make for the hospitals. So we make drain bags and heart cushions for the hospitals still. And we make tote bags for food banks. So there's a lot around making. You can come in-house and make with us. So if you want to do it in a more friendly atmosphere, you may want to facilitate some activities for us or put on something around mental health and well-being. We'd love that. You may want to... We're just talking to somebody at the moment about doing photography. I'll tell you more once we've got it running. So he's just breaking into photography. It helps him with his portfolio. We will be able to do some really well priced for photography sessions. You might want to help behind the counter. You might want to help just coming in and cleaning up. You might want to help us sort all of our donations. There's always something you can do at Tiger. You may want to just come and do the washing up.
Yeah.
Which we have a lovely old man, Mitchie, who likes to come in and do that. So, all sorts, basically, in supporting Tiger.
Lots to do, lots that people can get involved in.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit reluctant to ask you this, but I'm thinking, what's next? What is it that you'd love to do that you haven't quite got round to at the moment?
Right, so we have a few things in the pipeline.
I'm not surprised.
This is always the way my brain works, 10 ahead. So we are literally about to, I just need to pin the guys down to a start date, but we're starting a new project called Unite, which is urban nature in Tiger Enterprise. So we have limited outside space at Tiger, and everything has to be brought in each night. So we talked about food. One of the areas that we are missing, if we're looking at a holistic approach, is that growing, making, our own food. So as part of a move towards that, Unite will be finding ways and encouraging people to be able to welcome nature in to their space, no matter how small. So we're going to be making bug homes and bird boxes, but also doing seed sharing and, running workshops where people get together and just come up with loads of ideas about how they can bring nature in. And it can be anything from a pot on a balcony to sort of maximising a little yard.
I'm still thinking about how you described your job to make people smile. What a great job to have.
Feeds my soul.
And it just reminded me of, sometimes in our training we talk about micro affirmations, which are the opposite of microaggressions, which are like small acts of hostility and sort of, disrespect to people. But micro affirmations are little acts of inclusion, little gestures of support. And I always say in the training that, sometimes, if I walk down the road near where I live, if I see a little old lady or a little old man, I'll always make sure I smile at them or even just say hello. And you can immediately see the impact that has. You know, it sort of lifts people up, it makes them smile, and it doesn't cost anything.
Well, sometimes we get, obviously we do pickups from various supermarkets periodically, and sometimes we'll be given loads of flowers. Do you know how happy it makes people as they're leaving when you say, will you take a bunch of flowers with you? What, really? And it's like, people love flowers. Yeah, when we had loads of daffodils, I was just going out and randomly giving them to people, and it's such a small gesture, but just makes people smile.
Yeah.
What, you know? And then when you see somebody smile, it's infectious.
Yeah. I mean, being kind to others not only makes them feel good, makes you feel good as well. So it's win-win.
I can be really stressed, and somebody can come in and say something really nice, and I think, that's why I do it. That's why I do it.
Yeah.
Or we'll have somebody who we know has really benefited from coming to one of the groups, who, you know, would break your heart when he first came, and has got a jaunt back in his step and is out and about, and you think, that's why we still have to be here, even though it's really hard some months to pay the bills, because where would he have gone if not to us? You know?
Yeah.
And I hope that for every act of kindness that we give at Tiger, that somebody will pass that on as well.
That
you know?
pay it forward notion that,
Yeah, you know, and when we first started doing a lot of things around recycling, upcycling, sustainability, and there's a lot of, you know, sort of pushback to that. Oh, I'm only one person, I can't do anything. It doesn't have an impact. But every one person does have an impact, and I always like the thing, the ocean's made up of billions of single drops. And it was really, really obvious during COVID. We made and gave away 33,000 items because lots of people doing a little.
Yeah.
That amount blows my mind, but it proves the power of people coming together. So I choose to believe that that is still there in the community, despite, you know, all of the deflection from the government. I still believe underneath most people are kind, and the problem is too many people only read the headlines and only read negative headlines and never look beneath the surface, you know, to see how it really works in the community, you know. The nature is leading into that, and what we want to be sort of prototyping is a form of social supermarket. Again, slightly different, sustainability at the heart. So we will be doing refills, so getting catering packs and then encouraging people to bring their own pots. We'll start them off. So doing refills, but also pre-making ready meals. But so the food that we cook in the cafe, putting it into single portions, and you can take them home, and sharing surplus. So, like, I like to call it, hey, we've had an abundance today. Somebody's donated X. So, like on Thursday, we did our first fair share pickup, and we had 14 pounds of strawberries. We now have lots of jars of jam. You know, turning things into something. Our most popular cake in the cafe is our lemon drizzle cake. That my husband makes those. Discovered he's a really good baker. Who knew? And that's because we got donated a sack of lemons. Somebody gives you lemons, make lemon drizzle cake.
Yeah. No, well, thank you very much for coming and sharing about the work that you're doing, and we'd encourage anyone to come to the cafe, come and have some lunch, come and have a cup of tea, come and have a look and see what else is going on and see what they can get involved in. That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Tony. Thank you for coming.